Lake Nakuru is beautiful, but here's the warning. It doesn't feel as wild as you'd expect. Out of the 5 stops on my Best of Kenya workshop, I scored Nakuru the lowest, and yet it gave me one of the most special moments of the whole trip. An incredible moment with a black rhino and her calf. In this episode, I'll tell you if Nakuru is worth using as a transit stop, and I'll show you the simple shift that turned a structured loop into images that still feel wild. Welcome back to my Kenya Scorecard series where I rank every stop from my Best of Kenya photography workshop. By the end of this video, you'll know if Lake Nakuru is worth the stop to break up a long transit and how to work with its challenging conditions to get images that feel wild. It's a 5-hour drive from Samburu down to Nakuru, and I went into that drive with really high hopes. In my head, it was going to be a big wildlife win to justify the travel. But as we rolled through Nakuru City and up to the park gate, it almost felt like driving into a zoo. Traffic, buildings, and then suddenly a park that sits right on the edge of this big city. You feel that closeness the whole time, and it definitely shapes how you shoot. The reality is, Nakuru can feel like a big wildlife drive-through. Because you're locked into a fixed road network, you have less freedom, which naturally leads to more cars and congestion around sightings. On top of that, the bushland and forest for most of the park is incredibly thick. You aren't spotting animals from miles away like you are in the Mara. Sightings are much harder to come by, and when you do find them, they're deep in cover. We rolled into the forest expecting some easy shooting, and pretty quickly it became obvious that that was not how this place worked. Everything was tangled, branches and leaves everywhere, light bouncing all over the place. The more we fought it, the more it felt like we were losing. So we stopped fighting the forest and decided to use it. Instead of chasing a perfect backdrop, we started building environmental images, and I began framing through branches on purpose, letting foreground leaves soften the edges, using layers to create depth. The mess stopped being a problem and started becoming the story. Here's what helped instantly. First, lean into layering. If there's a branch or a curtain of leaves in the foreground, use it. Shoot through it, let it add mood and depth. Second, don't wait for clean locations, wait for the moments. In thick bush, the gap appears for a second, it's there and then it's gone. So I stayed ready, finger half pressed, watching for that little window. Third, use the forest light. The canopy does you a favour. It filters the harsh sun. Start hunting for rim light, soft light, and those small patches of glow that slide across the animal's face. And then there were a few moments that fit this approach perfectly. Baboons were everywhere. They love the edges, the roads, lookout points, the places that can feel a bit too close to civilization. But instead of trying to hide that, I leaned into it. Frame them with the environment and give them some space. Let that scene show where they are and how they live. Then there were zebras playing, squabbling and kicking up dust. This is where you stop hunting portraits and start hunting behaviour. I picked a cleaner pocket of background, not perfect, just cleaner, and then I waited for the interaction to spill into it. And when I did, I committed, no hesitation, because that moment doesn't hang around long. And then when the forest felt like too much, the lake became the reset button. Pelicans and waterbirds gave us breathing room. Cleaner horizons, repetition and behaviour, plenty of personality. You can go wide to show the scale, but then you can go tight for the details. That was the shift. Stop trying to make the forest behave like an open plain. Let it be what it is, then match your images, match the truth of the place. Once you accept what Nakuru is, it can give you something genuinely unique. These scenes are not tidy, they're natural and layered. You get a mood that you don't get in the open plains. And then just when it felt like we were grinding for every sighting, we saw a black rhino mum with her calf moving towards a small opening in the bush. One of my favourite moments of the whole trip. Black rhinos are famously shy, and you feel that straight away. So we didn't rush it. We positioned ourselves early, picked our angle and stayed calm. Small movements, quiet voices and no sudden lens swings. Then we just waited because we knew the story was about that crossing. And that's when it hit me. Nakuru rewards patience more than it rewards hunting. Here's the lesson Nakuru drilled into me. Work with the conditions you have, not the ones you want. If I'd stayed annoyed about the crowds or the thick bush, I would have missed what was right in front of us. Once you commit to the environment, even a structured park can give you something personal. The verdict: if a truly unique environment appeals to you, Nakuru is worth the stop, especially if you're using it to break up a long drive and you go in with the right expectations. If you're chasing that raw, wide open wilderness feel, it will not hit like Samburu. But it can still deliver strong, layered forest images if you commit to shooting the environment and not fighting it. And you treat the lake as your reset when the bush feels a bit too dense. The photo opportunities are a 7 out of 10. It's harder to shoot in the thick bush, but the environmental potential is real. Add the lake edge with the pelicans and water birds, and suddenly you have scale, repetition, behaviour, and cleaner compositions. Crowds and access, 7 out of 10. Fixed roads mean you share the same loops, so congestion can build fast around sightings. The best way to handle this is patience and being ready to move on when the energy gets messy. Light and conditions, 9 out of 10. The forest filters the light beautifully. It can turn harsh sun into soft, workable glow, but it demands timing and a willingness to wait for those small openings. Uniqueness, an 8 out of 10. The Rhino Encounter, dense forest mood plus huge number of water birds. It's a different Kenya to the open plains. The overall experience is a 6 out of 10 for me. A mix of friction and magic, not effortless, but when it does come together, it feels earned. That's a total of 37 out of 50, and it puts Lake Nakuru at the bottom of the list for me. It has plenty of potential, but so much of that potential depends on moments that you can't guarantee. So does that mean you should skip it? Not necessarily. Don't go expecting the wild frontier. Go expecting a challenge. Go prepared to make the photo that you're presented with, not the one you have in your head. Next is my wrap-up video comparing all 5 stops, and I'll give you 3 simple itinerary options depending on what you want to photograph. If you've enjoyed today's video, I'd love it if you would consider subscribing to keep up to date with all of my latest adventures and lessons. See you in the next one.